So, good evening, everybody. I say evening because while this video gets published on the Sunday, the 29th, recording it on Saturday, the 28th, to my left, I have two screens on my left. On the top screen, I have my TV running. I have CNN that's been running all day because of the breaking news in the Israel region, where apparently Israelis have vanquished all their enemies. Now the world's going to come down on them. It's a long story. It's deeper than that. So check out the links for that. And of course, it's football. It's college football season, and Alabama and Georgia are about to kick off in mere moments. Also on the screen there as well. So I'll keep an eye on that. You'll see me look up this very often, although it's early in the game, so like kickoff is happening. So we've got plenty to go to. We'll be done well before that, so I can sit down and enjoy that. And I actually have my stir fry behind me, my dinner behind me while I sit at my desk and do work. So this is the weekly video that we produce for the people, for the peeps, for the partners that we have in our program for a conversation project. And we have some other partners for things that help out for other more better media things, but it's conversation project specific. And of course, we thank them every week. This is a video we're putting out to the general population, celebration, if you will. But so I'm going to say by name, so just in case you hadn't heard them in any of our other media, Harold Braxton, Colby Green, Eldon Kidd are the cup of coffee level sponsors. It's $5 a month. And a spare change is Joy Winters at $1 a month. There are various ways you can pay via PayPal, via via Venmo, and of course via the Grand Ada Mall Cash App for one-time donations, and one-time donations as well via Buy Me a Coffee. But our main subscription service is through buymeacoffee.com/jcliffandpayne. We don't use Patreon because of pricing, whatever. Buy Me a Coffee is a little easier for us to use. So same general thought process. So those are the partners, and just in case you didn't know. Now, like I said, this video is normally produced just for them, so they get a chance to see some insights of what's going on inside of my head. And sometimes it's a little crazy. Sometimes it's actually exciting. But today, unfortunately, it's just like the last time I produced a video. It's not the best video happening. It's not a lot of, well, there actually are a lot of things that are coming, a lot of actions happening in the background, but it's not a lot about that. It's really about the celebration that will be tomorrow, Sunday, when this video is actually released. The 29th of September is my birthday, and it happens to be my 50th birthday. So it's a big round number celebration. I am half 100 officially tomorrow, today, as you're watching this video, and it should be a great milestone. But like the past 2 years specifically, and a lot of time going into that one, the milestone part has been lacking. Those of you who don't know, we've been displaced. My family was displaced from this house where I'm recording in this room as my studio for about 16, 17 months or so because of tornado. And that happens. We are lucky to have enough house to get into and enough house to not have to rebuild the whole thing. But oddly enough, many people had to build their houses from foundation, had an easier time getting into their houses than us. We should have been into our house within about a year, if not less, and it took even longer because we won't go into that part. So that's a big thing there. But the biggest issue with that is not the fact that we're happy to have a house and all that stuff, but it literally was a lack of time. Time is a construct that humans created to kind of place themselves and move along chronologically to figure out where things were. A calendar was built so you can track the seasons from here to here, and birthdays and years. A timeline, as in minutes, seconds, hours, however that works out, it was created so you can tell what happens between now and 10 seconds ago. So we can actually manipulate ourselves in this 3D world. We needed something to count things down, and time was what was created to do that. So time is really relevant or irrelevant based on the situation. However, when you lose a lot of time, it becomes an issue. And the biggest issue I'm having right now is a lot of loss of time on this 50th birthday. A lot of disappointments happened this week because a lot of things popped up that weren't expected to push things back, just like the 2 years essentially being displaced from not having a house and a proper studio and it going on. When you don't have a house, you have to tear things down and move out. When you get back to the house, you have to bring it back together and put things on. And there are some good things to say about the new builds going forward, but I have to be honest with you. Today was a kind of a terrible day. I didn't do anything much constructive. It's essentially just basically depressed all day long. I didn't get dressed to go get my lunch. I just basically put on shoes and wore my pajamas to go drive through and grab a burger and come back. fact, I screwed that up. I hit the app and didn't order a drink and fries. So I had to go went someplace else and get the drinks and fries. But I did put on pants later on because I had to take a trip to Home Depot to get a part to fix a plumbing issue for the kid. So I'm a hero to the kid fixing an issue with their sink. It's it's a bittersweet day, as a lot of the 2 year backup from not having the house, and a lot of the backup from, if you've been following along, the day job, things just not getting done, and projects not being completed, so that I can essentially clear my mind, focus more on the project here. May not be the biggest paying thing, but I can focus on it and find my next transition. It's not a big secret. My plan when found my job 5 years ago was this year, year five, to be transitioning out to find some place to go after learning stuff. And essentially, I'm locked into way too many things to get out of Dodge, which should be the dream because I'm really am into having importance and things like that. But when your goal was to work on that and sort of exercise you of those demons, so you can focus on more things that are you-ish, it becomes an issue. That's an issue that will be worked out eventually. But because of setbacks with professionalism, professional job, and setbacks at the job itself, and setbacks with this thing here. We reached milestones. We're finally monetized, but not seeing anyone paying any money. We reached milestones where we hit certain numbers, but not seeing the response going forward after a while. We're not fresh and new anymore. And we're seeing a lot of drawback, a lot of backlash essentially on the platforms. The TikTok platform, I was starting to get that magic 200 all the time. I was wondering how I can get past that one. Now I'm getting less than 20 views for videos lately. And there's been the same standard videos that got 200 or so at a standard clip. And some of them got 1,000 because they were just news clips. We're going to see what we can do to change that, update some things, and try to poke some bears, if you will. But we'll go forward with that one. But let's give you some highlights, if we call them highlights. So this past week, we were able to scrounge up enough change and to make things into some updated equipment, and some equipment we actually already had that we could put into updates. I have a HD camera. It doesn't look as pretty as the web cameras do, but I have a HD camera that I could plug into a mini switcher that plugged into that made it look like a webcam, so I can actually record stuff from it. And so now I can record things that have my lips in sync with my words back again on various platforms that we're paying a lot of money for. So I can do some of the quick hits and the things here in this platform called Veed. I can also do things back on StreamYard, the stream platform, with all the bells and whistles again, which is good because StreamYard is doubling its price this month. So I didn't want to have to get rid of it. I want to make sure I was using it properly. Along with the switcher, which is a lot less expensive than I thought, and the camera already had and a bunch of cables to run around, I was able to get a new computer. I have a new computer that I'm setting up on the other side of these screens here to try and make sure everything is put together. As soon as we plug it in there, we'll probably plug it in the middle next week and try to get things back on track with the brand new computer. So that means more memory, maybe better pictures, because it does have a better graphics package inside of it. Because this was a refurb, a 2 year refurb when I bought it 2 years ago. Now we have a brand new, right out the box computer that should hopefully last us a good 4 or 5 years going forward. We hope for that one, assuming this continues 4 or 5 years. So a new computer is coming. That means this whole setup, unless I take a weekend or Sunday to really mess with it and play around with all the stuff, maybe a few days without some things you might not have heard and things you might ought to know coming forward. That may happen because it's a switch. It takes a little while to do this, so we'll see how that works out. In the meantime, we're going to try to get a few more pieces. I'm trying to figure out a way to get another cheap camera that I can plug into this thing. I have an old video camera that we may try to get on this thing here, so we get a couple different angles. I had an angle over here, an angle here before. Now I just have this angle, so I'd like to special setup for scripts over here that I like to get back going as well, and some other things afoot. So there's also a bunch of brand new shiny object equipments that cost a good chunk of money that are brand new, so you can't get them on a refurb type manner. So I'm looking to get a new audio device that's going to take up less space on the desk, and another video device that I can take on the road to take and do larger shows and things, so I can actually promote those things. And I'll probably give you prettier stuff like this. I think I do scenes and things like that as well. So I can go back to thinking this thing will do a scene, but I'll press the button so you can see it. Yeah, I can't put it in the middle. I can't play around. I can't shift me over. I have to just, get out of the way. There you go. So it's makes it not quite as best as possible, but it's what's working. It's what's going on. Alabama just scored a touchdown. Thank you, Jalen Monroe. Um, we're live. It's what happens when you record it live. So all that, that's the Ramley part of stuff going on. We were able to produce 7 shows this week, or actually, let's call that no. Well, let's see, 15 shows this week. No, my math is wrong. 5 shows a day, Monday through Friday, plus 2 shows a day, Monday through Friday, with both things you might not have heard and splitting up that with things you might ought to know. I can't even remember if I decided to do this week or last week. I think it was last week, and we are continuing it. But we were able to split the main show, the new stuff, and the fun stuff into 2 shows. That's what I did. We did it. We split it last week. We did a live feed of the first show, the news show, and then a recording for upload of the other show while it was still playing, and decided to just do them both live back to back and just make it happen that way. And then we're trying to work on our workflow to get the clips done these days. And then we got the weekend show, the weekly roundup, and we had a chance to change a bunch of the graphics, a bunch of the insider things, a bunch of the plates and the name things, whatever, and kind of did some stuff like that. Not all of them, not perfect, but we were able to change some things so that actually reflects what's going on. The graphic art isn't changed, by the way, but we're working on that stuff as well. All the stuff seems pretty dull and boring, and it is. If you're a new person, it usually is pretty dull and boring because it's the details of things, what's going on. And I didn't get any major questions from the sponsors, from our partners, so there's nothing really to ask of me to answer for them. But I did want to get into a little bit of my mindset because when I said I was extremely depressed, I'm extremely depressed. I am defeated. I am beaten. I am down. I am just not doing. I'm not doing well. We're not doing as well as we'd like to be in the numbers, which that just means you got to work harder. But just in time and effort and brain power and just energy, just not doing all that great. And when you're at that spot, it becomes an issue, especially when you get to a spot where it's like, okay, you reach this milestone. Okay, now what? Now what is the next milestone? But you don't have the gas, you don't have the energy, you don't have the ability to push on to the next one. And that's where we are right now. We did we did status quo stuff, we did minor stuff, we did basic stuff, and we did one that had some experimental stuff that was in the queue, but it didn't all get done to satisfaction. We were supposed to produce and publish So 50 Happened, the memoir, which was basically done and then stopped being done. And then it was like, yeah, I'm not feeling, I'm not going to do it. And then I got back into it. And then just kind of got jazzed up in the last 8 weeks up until my birthday. And then as September rolled around, it literally became something where so many things just weren't working. I lost the effort and lost the ability to just stick with it. I'll probably pick it up and finish it with the caveat it didn't get done by my birthday. 50 still happened, but it'll be hopefully done by my birth year, and it's ready to go. I also I have to look at the dates, but since I got all out of whack and stopped doing the updates, I was supposed to produce the next book in the series for vocabulary words. That was supposed to also come out this month as well. This was 2 for a month. And I have plenty of other books that are in the queue. Most of them basically ready to go. The good news is I have one that's ready to go, assuming I can find the energy to promote what I call the Now What Network website that goes into keeping people accountable, our politicians, our elected officials accountable after we elect them. A book that basically is called the Now What Manifesto, and it basically outlines what the Now What Network and what their project should be, and hopefully garner some people to follow me with their parasocial relationships and follow me along and go as a expert in politics and in elections. Actually, I am. I've been following politics all my life, but I've worked on election coverage and worked in elections and talked to officials for the 20 years I've been here, 20 plus years I've been here in Arkansas in the radio, and now still some today, even in independent ways. Still have some context, not as much as I did. Wish I could pull off some of those, but still have some context, still do plenty of politician stuff, which is why I've been really, really hitting hot and heavy on the national election because it is what it is. A lot has happened in 50 years of life. A lot has happened. I've gone through a lot of changes, metamorphoses, and done a lot of things that may shock and amaze you about how interesting I actually am, although I'm the person that claims to be boring on purpose. On purpose. Don't like drama, don't like craziness. So I try to avoid it when possible so I can do more boring, non crazy things like work a lot and talking to microphones and write scripts and things like that. So lots happen, but unfortunately, time is an issue. And the time that's lost is usually a bad thing. And it's one thing to just simply waste time, procrastinate, something totally different when something gets in the way and holds you back. And you can put a finger on it. You can say, that person was holding me back, or that activity was holding me back, or living here and not someplace where it's more creative or more easy to get access to held me back. And I had to work my way out of those things that held me back. They're not just magical things where it's like, oh, if I just get off my chair here and go walk over there and sit down there, I'm in a great place to work. It usually doesn't work that way. So that's what I've been dealing with. A lot of it. It's albatrosses all around that are basically holding things down, big anchors that are just wrapping things down. And unfortunately, no one can really kind of figure it out because I'm that kind of person that no one really, gets, writing scripts and reading research and talking to Chat GPT as fun for activities to hang out with. So I'm not the laugh of the party. I don't really care. I'm not trying to be, but it's just what it is. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up now at this point because I want to watch this football game. Alabama's up and Georgia's trying to strike at the moment. But the actual reality in this update, as for some reason, when I'm trying to be poetic for the world and not just the sponsors, not just giving them the stats, it gets a little extra wonky, extra rambly, is that I hope you found this video and find it well. I hope you are doing well going forward. I hope that your life isn't as stressful and as dramatic as I'm maybe promoting mine as. It's less stressful and less dramatic. The depression kind of helps things feel even more stressful and dramatic, unfortunately, because it's all the happy things are there. I have a family. I have a loving wife, a scowling 12-year-old and a sort of a 29-year-old who sort of doesn't pay much attention because he's 29 and doing his own life, and a lovely mother-in-law who lives in the house. So I have three women in this house. My son, does his own thing down the street. I have three women in this house who basically give me, no say in much anything, but that's life. I would not trade that for the world. I have a job where I'm extremely well regarded. Some people kind of don't like me, and some people kind of are a little off putting and kind of scared to come to me in some cases, which oddly enough, I've come to learn is the way things work out. But I have a fairly well regard at the job place, and I do very good stuff for the job, and it's a really fulfilling job. It's fulfilling when it isn't. Sometimes it's a little stressful dealing with some people in some situations, and there are days where I'm like, I no longer have the energy. My cup is dry. I have nothing left to give, and I keep showing up. But I'm happy to have that. Happy to get a paycheck, and that job actually feeds off of things we do here as well. I have my extended family. My mom and my dad are very much alive, very much active, and doing great things. And now in their retirement, basically threatening to get a camper and drive away and never see us again, which, oddly enough, I think I could deal with. But they're doing great. My niece and my nephew are awesome. They have outshined any thought that I think they have, and probably outshine any thought anybody else could have, including my parents, who are very proud of them. Although we all miss my sister in the process. I have lots to complain about, and will complain about them in a separate missive to the partners because they will get the normal complaints, but with that they'll get the actual stats they normally get. So I got a lot of things that aren't going so well. Health isn't exactly the best. Like I said, I am dealing with not just being down and being missing out on some opportunities, but I'm really dealing with some actual serious depression type stuff right now. So I'm trying to do my best to stay level headed and get things done and clear things off my plate so I can actually rest. I'm looking for time to rest, and that's what I don't have because of stress at the job and some family stress as well, and the stresses of trying to make this into a real side hustle, into a managing business that will take care of itself and maybe take care of me and do its real job. It is to give me access to other people and conversations. Time has not allowed that to happen very well at the moment. It's a struggle. It's a stress. It's a setback. It's there. But to recap some of the good things, the partners who have ponied up money over some time and the people who have bought in with some of our sponsors and we got paid from those have allowed us to buy more equipment and get things into the queue to make things work better and look better and move forward. So it's a commitment for moving forward is there. With that, I'm committed to moving forward. One thing that this thing does, it's one of the things that keeps me balanced, keep me sane. And even when I don't feel like getting out of bed, gets me out of bed. So I have that reason. And that's one plus on moving forward. We're going to do some updates to how things are done with the presentations. Because we're changing some workflow things, it's going to be a minute to make things work out. But I think some things I figured out allow me to have better workflow, better scripts for better reading of things. And of course, I need to focus more on reading and then ad-libbing and things going forward. We're looking for a few extra sponsors for a few extra bucks into the queue so I can get a few extra people to dedicate to doing some things. They're just part-time stuff, a couple hours here or there. Maybe I can finally get someone to wake up in the morning and be my producer for a couple hours and help me get things on the air and, of course, cut things up so I have more time to prep for other work and make big dollars in other jobs to fund things like that. Maybe that'll happen as well. In the meantime, if you are a person who somehow stumbled across this video and watched it for whatever reason, thank you for paying attention and seeing what's going on. The Conversation Project is a function that is a part of More Better Media LLC. And what we do with the Conversation Project, it's a news aggregation show and presentation podcast. We aggregate news from various news sources, all the big websites you love and some of them you hate, and provide for you links for them all day long for you to engage in them and tell us what stories to talk about. You have the pick of the news feeds for the day. What we do in our daily show called Things You Might Not Have Heard. A start to the day. We do it live in the morning, but maybe listen to it later in the day. That's followed up by something called Things You Might Ought to Know, which is what we call the fun stuff. It's daily birthdays, daily history lessons, and a celebration of the day. It also promotes some other side gig stuff we do as well. We'll see if that lasts because there's an extra bit of time going forward. It's always fun, but making sure it's relevant and, makes the sales is the thing as well. The weekend, we have the weekly wrap up. We have that pops up that we give you the 12 of the news stories from the past week that I deem kind of more interesting. So 12, a recap of some stories that survived the week so you kind of know what the week was in that access. Plus, we do snippets of news. And now that I've got better cameras, better things going on, we'll do more of the quick TikTok, face videos with the stuff going on and some of the more newsy stuff throughout the week. We're going to do more of that stuff now once we figure out timelines. That will happen. If you want to comment on what we do, you simply email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. You can comment on any video you see because they're all worthy of comments, I would like to think. And we can kind of talk specifically about things going on as well. If you like what you're seeing, let me know. If you're not sure what you're seeing, let me know. We'll explain it. Stop by the website for the Conversation Project, which is theconversationproject.com, and you can find more details on what we do in total and why we do it and more about us and the full-time project. I'm not doing much more sales stuff here other than saying go to the website and see what you can see on those parts and consider being a partner since this is the partnerships video and you're getting their video for free. Although you may think the value might not be that much. You're getting it for free, so that's all. This is not meant to be all that exciting, and I'm sure it isn't. This is not meant to be all this depressing, but I'm sure it is. But I thank you so much for listening to me whine about nothing and everything all at once. You can wake me up in about 3 days because September will end, and we can move on from there. Thank you so much for being a pal. Thank you so much because I love you guys so much. Everything you do, the partners who this video is for, especially, and anybody who stumbled upon this to hopefully raise some of our view time and watch the hours on the YouTube for this week. With this, I officially bid you adieu. And the partners will get a better update on stuff in a video like this next week. If you want more updates like this and you're not a partner, just let me know. We'll find some way to get it out there for not just to pay people. Thanks.